In the top stories, a delegation from St. Kitts and Nevis has arrived in Nigeria for the Afri-Caribbean Summit, with talks focusing on trade, investment, and regional partnerships. Bahamas authorities have referred 98 suspected passport fraud cases to police as investigations continue, and Zimbabwe has detained a key critic of proposed term extensions as tensions rise over constitutional changes. Hello and welcome to the ZIZ Midday Major Newscast. Today is Monday, the 23rd day of March, and I am Jasmine Thomas. Prime Minister, the Honorable Dr. Terren Drew, has arrived in Abuja, Nigeria, leading a delegation from St. Kitts and Nevis to the second Afri-Caribbean Investment Summit. The summit is being held under the theme One Voice, One Vision, Advancing Afri-Caribbean Unity, and brings together government, business and regional leaders. The Prime Minister is accompanied by Minister of Agriculture, the Honorable Samuel Duggins, along with a delegation of nearly 70 participants, including young people, business representatives, and other stakeholders from across the Federation and the wider Caribbean. Delegations from several Caribbean countries are also in attendance, including Dominica, St. Vincent and the Grenadines, Anguilla, and the British Virgin Islands. Also present is a delegation from the Organization of Eastern Caribbean States, led by Director General Dr. Didacus Jules. Speaking after his arrival, Prime Minister Drew said the summit provides an important platform to deepen cooperation between Africa and the Caribbean, with a focus on expanding opportunities across key sectors. He added that this year's delegation reflects a deliberate emphasis on youth engagement and long-term development. Minister of Public Infrastructure, Energy and Utilities, the Honorable Conwys Maynard, has called on the public to be mindful of how the Federation's water resources are used. The appeal came in his address marking World Water Day, which is observed each year on the 22nd of March and was established by the United Nations General Assembly in 1993. Minister Maynard said residents must be more conscious of how they use the water supply across the Federation.
Everyone agrees that water is precious and must be valued. Yet, the reality is that many of us only think about water when we do not have it. This mindset must change. We must recognize that water is not only essential for life, but also fundamental to our health, our economy, and our national development. Water touches every aspect of our daily lives, whether for drinking, cooking, sanitation, agriculture, or industry. It is truly one of the pillars upon which our society stands.
He also addressed the significance of the 2026 World Water Day theme, Water and Gender.
This year's theme, Water and Gender, reminds us that access to water is deeply connected to issues of equality and social development. Globally, women and girls spend an estimated 200 million hours every day collecting water. This burden limits access to education, employment, and opportunities for advancement. It is a stark reminder that water is not just a resource, it is a pathway to empowerment. The slogan for this year's observance captures this perfectly. Where water flows, equality grows.
The Public Utilities Minister also pointed to the impact of water shortages on women across the Federation.
We may not have women walking miles for water, but we must not overlook the role women continue to play in our homes, our communities, and our economy. Women are often at the center of managing households, caring for families, and ensuring that daily life runs smoothly. When water supply is inconsistent, it is women who are most often called upon to adapt, to manage, and to make things work. But today, we shift that narrative. We recognize that women are not just managers of water in the home. They are leaders, professionals, engineers, entrepreneurs, and decision makers. They are shaping our water sector, our communities, and our future.
The Honorable Conwys Maynard. Nevis continues to gain traction as a sought-after location for international film and television, with its latest production bringing renewed global attention to its landscapes and culture. A new romantic drama by Lifetime featuring award-winning actor Taye Diggs was filmed on the island, adding to a growing list of screen projects, choosing Nevis for its distinct visual appeal and logistical advantage. Developed in collaboration with acclaimed author Terren McMillan, known for her best-selling novel Waiting to Exhale, the film will be released this year and is expected to reach a wide North American audience, further amplifying Nevis's presence on screen. Terren McMillan presents Paradise with You follows a high-profile athlete seeking a personal reset in a Caribbean setting, where his path crosses with a woman rebuilding her life played by Heather Hemmens. The cast also includes Cynthia Bailey of Real Housewives of Atlanta. The production showcases Nevis's diverse landscapes, from its coastlines and heritage sites to its lush interior, underscoring the island's versatility for storytelling. Local agencies, including the Nevis Film Commission and tourism stakeholders, provided key support for the production. And now for a look at news on the regional scene. The Bahamas has referred nearly 100 suspected passport fraud cases to police as part of a wider crackdown on irregularities. Chief Passport Officer Nicholas Simonet said internal reviews identified 98 cases, some of which also raised concerns about possible staff involvement. He said the matters were submitted to police, with supporting documentation, and investigations have since identified 4 additional suspects in separate cases. The update comes after claims by opposition leader Michael Pintard that more than 250 fraud cases were under investigation. Simonet, however, said that figure related to an earlier list, and he was not aware of any higher total. Authorities say several cases have already reached the courts, with 27 people charged across 21 matters and 2 convictions recorded so far. Investigations have identified a range of offenses, including sham marriages, false birth certificates, irregular naturalization records, and improper citizenship documents. Simonet also noted that a 2019 policy, which allowed limited documentation for passport renewals, has been removed, with full verification procedures now restored. And a new political party in Grenada is moving to formalize its structure as political activity begins to build ahead of the next general election. The Democratic People's Movement, led by former Government Minister Peter David, will hold its first Congress on Sunday at the Grenada Trade Center. Delegates from each of Grenada's 15 constituencies participated in the election of the party's national executive, ratification its constitution, and witnessed the presentation its first group of candidates. The party, which was launched in November 2025, says the Congress marks an important step in its development. David described the event as a pivotal moment, saying the party is built on grassroots engagement and a call for a new approach to politics. Interim Chairman Alistair Bain said the party intends to contest all constituencies, with a full slate of candidates to be announced shortly. The development comes as other parties also step up preparations, with the opposition New National Party already naming its candidates and the ruling National Democratic Congress expected to follow. Grenada's next general election is due by 2027 but could be called earlier. On the international scene, Zimbabwean authorities have detained a leading critic of proposed constitutional changes that could extend President Emmerson Mnangagwa's time in office. Former Finance Minister Tendi Biti, who was detained on Saturday, appeared in court today accused of holding a public meeting without notifying police. Biti leads a group of opposing amendments that would extend presidential terms, delay elections, and shift the selection of the president from a public vote to parliament. The proposals approved by Cabinet and now before Parliament would also extend the terms of lawmakers from 5 to 7 years. Critics argue that any extension of presidential terms should be subject to a referendum, while government officials maintain Parliament has the authority to pass the changes. The detention comes amid growing tensions with reports of arrests and restrictions on public gatherings as opposition to the proposals continues to build. And the head of the International Energy Agency is warning that the ongoing Iran war poses a serious threat to global economy. Fatih Birol said the crisis in the Middle East is already having a significant impact on global energy supplies, with losses exceeding those seen during the oil shocks in the 1970s. He said no country will be immune if the conflict continues, as disruptions to oil and gas production drive up prices and increase pressure on global markets. The situation has been further complicated by escalating tensions, with continued strikes in the region and threats to target energy infrastructure. Birol warned that the damage to key energy assets and interruptions to trade in critical materials could have wider economic consequences, including higher inflation and supply disruptions. The International Energy Agency has already released large volumes of oil from its reserves to help stabilize markets and says it is prepared to take further action if needed. And now for a look at the weather. Today's weather forecast valid until 8 o'clock tomorrow morning. Today will be mostly sunny with a low chance of showers, while tonight will be partly cloudy with a slightly higher chance of showers. A frontal trough is the main feature affecting the area, but limited moisture is expected to restrict any significant weather activity. Daytime temperatures will reach a high of 31 degrees Celsius or 88 degrees Fahrenheit, with an overnight low of 19 degrees Celsius or 66 degrees Fahrenheit. Winds will be easterly at 6 to 19 kilometers per hour or 3 to 12 miles per hour, becoming light and variable at times. Seas are expected to range between 1 and 1.5 meters or 3 to 5 feet. Sunset today is at 6:23, with sunrise tomorrow at around 6:15. And that brings us to the end of the Midday Major Newscast. Join us this evening for these stories and more. Thank you for tuning in. I am Jasmine Thomas. God bless you.